Yo, man, the Caves of Chaos was so gnarly.
Dude, don't forget the time we did the Temple of the Frog. That place was totally hopping, man.
What now, man? Our next dungeon needs to be bitchin' to the max.
You mean you want to hang 11 when we do the next one, man?
I was thinking the Tome of Horrors, but that's crazy. You can do so if you want. I got my snacks, some good berries.
Dude, man, let me get some of that good granola.
You're such a dungeon leech.
Welcome to Nerdarchy. I'm Nerdarchist Dave, and today I'm hanging out with
Nerdarchist Ted, and today we're doing an Extreme Adventurer D&D 5th edition character build.
Hey, do you want D&D content that you can drop right into your game?
If the answer is yes, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to tune to that notification bell.
So a little while ago, we did a video where we kind of did different builds, but based around feats. And it was just like, this is the feat selection for different pillars of Dungeons and Dragons. So from that, I was like, man, it might be fun to come up with this concept of the extreme adventurer, kind of like the extreme athlete. They're kind of doing it for kicks more than anything.
Yeah, and with the build selections, with all the cool options that 5th edition, brings to the table, you can really specialize in a lot of different ways. And you've seen characters that love the thrill of combat. Well, what if there's more to it than that? What if you could be like, look, I want to do these crazy things. I want to try these awesome stunts. But you make a character who's able to do all of those things because of the way you put it together.
Absolutely. So, this build might not be so much about, mixing it up in combat. I mean, I feel like this person is still fairly capable, but that's not their drive. I feel like they would probably want to avoid conflict and combat wherever they could. They want to just get through the next dungeon and say they did it, check it off, a list or a notch on their belt, pretty much.
And, just going to throw this out there. If you have a DM who's, interested in, allowing fun stuff, just the way you kind of move about and do things in combat, this character is incredibly physical. So this would be a way to do those fun and interesting things in combat, just for your descriptive purposes.
He's kind of an action hero.
Absolutely. So with that, let's dive into it.
The one thing that a extreme adventurer is going to have to probably deal with a lot.
And what's that?
Treacherous traps.
Oh man, that sounds like that cool Kickstarter that Nord is doing.
Yeah, Nord Games has sponsored this video. They have a Kickstarter going on right now for treacherous traps. Over 250 different combinations of traps. They have 10 chapters in the book so far. They're crushing the Kickstarter, funded in the first 30 minutes.
That is awesome. I've looked at the Kickstarter page, and as much as I love D&D books, this is something that I have to have on my gaming shelf. So I'm definitely gonna support this and get a copy for myself. So the question is, why don't you?
Yes, don't forget you can also get awesome trap decks as well. So you can have the books, you can have the decks. There's all kinds of good stuff going on. And I know a lot of people are talking about the one stretch goal they really want to unlock, even more than the initial product itself. And that's the riddles. And that's definitely one of the Kickstarter goals. And the way it's going, they're more than likely going to hit it. So do us a favor. If you like the videos we do, support us by supporting the sponsors and go check out that Kickstarter.
So let's dive into this character build. So we're talking about this super physical character. So like, what kind of race options are we looking at?
All right, so there were several that were on the list. Half Orc, Goliath. They're all kind of bruisers. Bugbear,
it gets strength and dexterity. It's getting a skill that is a physical. So I thought that was a natural choice to put as an option.
I also felt Genasi, Earth and Fire as well. Earth just because it kind of fits, because we're like this guy, he's like a bro, right? A bro dude. So I kind of feel like the Earth Genasi fits that. But on the other side of someone that's super hyper and excitable and excited, Fire seemed to work as well.
I couldn't agree more. What do we have for class options? I mean,
Well, I guess before we do that, we should actually just say which one we picked for the build.
all right, sure. What did we choose for our race?
We decided to go with Goliath. They already seem extreme. They live up in the mountains. They have that altitude acclimation going on. They're resistant to not cold damage, but to colder temperatures. They have the athlete skill automatically.
They get athletics. They get the powerful build. Powerful build's not super useful here, but if you're talking about going into a dungeon prepared for all the craziness that you might possibly encounter, they've got the capacity to carry it all with them.
And with their bonuses being to strength and con, they're extremely physical.
Totally works. So now let's look at what are we talking class wise. We put a whole bunch of options on the table. What did we look at first?
Bro is definitely going to want to be like fighter or ranger or barbarian. These are like kind of the classes I would look at. Maybe monk, the rogue.
So I put up there monk mainly because this is a very mobile and flexible kind of thing, and looking at some of the awesome features that rogues get, I just felt that those two focus on the dexterity angle of it, whereas your other ones were focusing on strength. Both important.
Now, most of our character builds that we do nowadays are Adventurers League legal. This is no different, but we felt like honorable mention for character classes was the Blood Hunter, Order of the Mutant, for those performance-enhancing substances.
Totally agree. I really like Matt Mercer's Blood Hunter, which you can go check out.
Where do we decide to start with? Where were we taking our first level?
All right. Well, we decided we were going to go with Ranger. We wind up getting more skills than the fighter would normally do so. And, there are other reasons that we were looking at Ranger as well.
Yeah, the Ranger is basically the exploration class in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. And I feel like our extreme adventure is really all about the exploration pillar of the 3 pillars.
I totally agree. They're going to get attuned to a particular environment, and they're going to be more suited to going into strange places and figuring it out.
With that, we're going to move into our background next, and there's a bunch of them that we kind of looked at.
All right. So what were we looking at?
We had Gladiator, Knight, Noble, City Watch, and Nerdarchy Doug even threw out Sage.
Yeah, now Sage could be a little bit fun, and we had that whole surfer vibe going with our intro, and we tossed around the idea of this guy sitting on a beach as totally the the nerd with the glasses on, and someone's like, dude, you're totally skinny, you need to hit the gym, and it's like, all right, I'll show you, and it goes from being a sage to just being this totally off the wall ninja warrior,
bro dude. But we didn't go to any of those. We decided to go with Far Traveler. We kind of go with this surfer vibe, like he travels, chasing the big dungeons, looking for the best and the deadliest to test his mettle.
These are things that he just gets to just put on his belt, like, yep, here's another notch. This is what I did, and I had a lot of fun with it.
So we've got our race, we've got our first class, we've got our background. With that, let's place our stats.
All right, so, as we said, this character needs to be incredibly physical. We've already chosen Goliath, so we know that they're going to get bonuses to strength and con. So where did we go first?
All right, so we went 12 in strength, 14 in dex, 15 in con, and then the mentals is where things kind of go downhill a little bit.
All right, so we're going to look at a 10 intelligence. We're going to dump charisma. This guy is a little bit off-putting with his in-your-face attitude, but because of some things that we wanted to be able to do, we needed to have, a good wisdom, or at least, enough to multi-class, so we went 13 there.
And not only that, too, you really need to be aware of your surroundings when you're participating in dangerous activities.
Absolutely. Perception becomes important.
That's a Nerdarchy PSA for you right there, folks.
All right, so we got Race of Goliath. We got Ranger as our first class. We got Far Traveler. We got our stats placed. Now let's start seeing where the levels go.
All right. But if you guys want to follow along, as always, down in the description, you can find the character builder guide as well as the character sheet for D&D Beyond. So you can take a look and see where we're putting everything and follow along at your leisure.
Absolutely.
So, all right, we said we're going to take our first level in Ranger, and we're going to get a bunch of cool stuff for doing such.
You're going to get 3 skills. We took survival, perception, and investigation.
Yeah, we were kind of looking at this guy as he's like kind of like a camping guy anyway, out there, outdoorsy wilderness, so survival made sense. Investigation, you know what? When you're chasing that next big dungeon, you're going to have to know where to look.
Absolutely. So, having that 10 intelligence, we really needed to support that investigation skill by actually having proficiency bonus. So,
Now, for our favorite, we have our favorite terrain and our favorite enemy to take a look at.
all right. Well, this guy seems to, come up against traps and against things that are, man-made. So for his favorite enemy, we're looking at constructs.
Makes sense to me. And then also, he's from a mountainous region, so it seemed to make sense to take mountains as our favorite terrain.
Let's face it, there's going to be a lot of dungeons, a lot of things to explore inside the mountain. So being able to know your surroundings at a mountain, totally fit.
And next up, we went with the Rogue.
All right, now the Rogue offers a strong choice for this particular build, and I've said it numerous times in videos. Expertise is amazing, and Rogues get it at first level. So he got athletics from his race. And we want expertise in acrobatics and athletics to be that super physical guy. So right away, second level, we're diving in and we're going to give the expertise there.
Now, if you're wondering where we got that acrobatics from, we actually got it from our background because we ended up doubling up in one of our skills by the time we got to the background. So that opened up the choice of anything we wanted. And in this case, we wanted acrobatics.
So doubling back on that, we took insight because it comes with Far Traveler. And since we already had perception, we went with acrobatics there.
So also from Rogue, what we end up getting is Thieves' Cant, which it's not such a big deal, but we have it.
But when you're looking for places to go and explore, you can cant to your rogues.
Well, that's true. You might be like in the seedier side of town trying to figure out where the next dungeon is. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, you could get hooked up with people and be like, hey, you might be in it for the profit. I'm in it for the experience. So you can kind of sell that sizzle a little bit.
We're going to get Thieves' Tools, which is going to be super helpful when we're dealing with traps and locked doors and such. And then we're going to pick up Sleight of Hand. Now, we're not thinking like this guy's using it for a lot of pickpocketing, but a lot of times players make checks for stuff and they'll use Sleight of Hand if they don't know what to use. But I also feel like it's also like tying and untying ropes and that kind of stuff.
So totally fits for that. We really, had the decision of did we want stealth or did we want sleight of hand? And we thought sleight of hand was, far more fun for this character build.
So level 3, we're going to go with our first level in Monk.
So we got Ranger, we got Rogue, and now we're getting Monk. We're spreading this, these first levels out pretty thin. But what is the reason for choosing Monk here, Dave?
All right, so we're going to get martial arts, so this guy doesn't have to be weighed down and encumbered with weapons and whatnot. And we're also going to get unarmored defense, super useful, so he doesn't have to wear a bunch of armor either.
So we got all that weight that we can carry is now going to be for gear to support that dungeon crawling, and your possible loot to take out.
And so for his monk weapons, we gave him a couple clubs, like 3 of them, so he can like either juggle or I forget what that game was called. I used to play when I was a kid, but it was like you juggle one stick with 2 other sticks.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was called either. I'm certain the fans out there will throw
put
it in the comments.
Put it in the comments for us. So with that, we're going to our 4th level, and we are now going to double back to Rogue.
All right, now Rogues at 2nd level, you get Cunning Action. Now this character has the ability to really double down on the speed factor. And if you're outrunning traps, if you're trying to get places faster, there's nothing like being able to use your bonus action to be able to move your speed or, disengage from those nasty enemies. So now this character is going to be super mobile.
So with that, level 5, where are we going?
We're going to look at Monk. And since I talked about being super speedy, this is another way for us to, double down on that because we're going to get 10 foot of movement.
Now, I see one of the biggest problems with this character is too many options with the bonus action. Like Our extreme adventurer will never lack with something to do with that.
You're going to get your key points being able to, offer up, some extra attacks. Your 5th level, a lot of other adventurers are going to be making multiple attacks if they're in melee. So you're going to have to spend your key to get there, but you're not going to suffer from being able to attack multiple times. And, now, as I said, your speed's up to 40, so nice.
You're also going to get Step of the Wind, Patient Defense, as well as your rogue abilities, which a lot of times you won't even have to use your Kai points because you have those. So it just works out. You're going to be using those Kai points a lot for flurry of blows, as you should be. So 6th level, we're going to go jump way back to the beginning and go back to Ranger.
All right, Ranger's going to give us a fighting style, and it's going to give us some spells. So which fighting style did we choose to take here?
All right, so this part was really tough when it came to the fighting style because you can take 2-weapon fighting, you can take duelist, you can take defensive, and then you also have archery. Most of those are not going to be very useful for this character. So I opted for the duel. I was going for duelist. Ted was saying about maybe 2-weapon fighting. But 2-weapon fighting isn't very useful for a monk type character because when you use your martial arts, you don't have to worry about your offhand damage so much.
Right. So we decided to go with dueling. This allowed for, the option of, well, you hold one weapon, and when you hit with that, you're going to get that extra little bit and not have to worry about an actual offhand weapon. You just, punch, elbow, kick as your offhand.
Knee, headbutt, whatever it takes. And then also we got a couple spells to take. So we took things that we felt were going to be super useful for what this character does. Jump and long strider. So we're getting more movement and we're moving more ways.
So this, it's not the most combat effective spells, but since we really decided we wanted to really focus on that exploration pillar that you mentioned, these were things that really gave this character the extreme options, that they're looking to do.
So now we're moving in on 7th level. I guess it's time. Maybe we should probably take an archetype.
So where did we decide to go here?
We went with Rogue, and we took the Thief archetype.
All right. So when I was doing some exploration of my own in this character build, second story work from Thief really, spurred to me to one of my favorite movies, Princess Bride. And, when the man in black is just hand over hand climbing up the cliffs of insanity, not using his legs at all. He was climbing like you wouldn't believe. That I'm like, that's second story work. That is something this extreme adventurer needs to be able to do. And just boom, climb like you wouldn't believe. So I felt this was super essential for this character to have.
Well, not only that, you're going to get fast hands. What fast hands is going to allow you to do is, with your cunning action, you can now use it to use your thieves' tools, pick a lock, or interact with an object, all as a bonus action.
So super, super helpful. You need to get through a door before that monster comes in at you. You just and bam, you're through.
Our next level, we're going to go after an ASI, which means we have to take another level in Rogue.
All right, so where did we decide to go here?
We decided to go with Mobile. We thought it was going to be a great enhancement to this character. We could have used the stat bumps, but instead we wanted more movement. This guy's all about getting around. When we dash, difficult terrain doesn't cost us extra movement now. And if we attack someone, we can now move away from them without drawing an attack of opportunity.
Super helpful. This gives us a speed of 50 before we use Long Strider, and we got that cunning action. That's just a lot of territory that this guy can cover.
Yeah, all that is kind of like an accident to the thing we were actually building to. So 9th level, we're going back to Monk now.
All right, so we're looking at this being, super physical, and you've begun honing your physical senses. Now you've got the ability to deflect missiles, and you're going to also make that choice of another archetype.
Yes, we are going to take Open Hand. There's a lot of great archetypes that none of them seem to really fit this guy, so we just went with the Open Hand, kind of like the basic martial artist.
Absolutely. You've seen, those action heroes in books and in movies that are deflecting arrows out of the air. And to have this character being able to do that kind of stuff, it just makes me love him that much more.
I don't know. I see him on the mountaintop somewhere doing Tai Chi when he's not when he's not delving dungeons. Next, we can continue with Monk. We're going to get our 4th level. We're going to grab another ASI, and we're also going to get Slow Fall.
Slow Fall is incredibly useful. I mean, let's face it, you're not going to always be able to pass those traps. You're not going to always notice them. We don't have a whole lot in, we don't have any expertise in Thieves' Tool or Perception at this point in time. So, you fall down those pitfalls. You want to, pat that wall and slow down your fall.
And we're also going to grab another 2 points to dexterity, bringing
Nice.
us up to a 16.
That, is really going to step up the combat options that we have now.
All right, so at this point, we are 10th level. We're going into 11th.
We decide we want to finalize our last archetype, our last subclass, and we're deciding, we're going to take that level in Ranger.
Level 3 in Ranger was really important to me. We're going to get our archetype. Don't care about that. I actually want primeval awareness. Because when we're in our favorite terrain, up to like 6 miles, we can kind of like spend some spell slots and like meditate a little bit, and we kind of know what's around us. We can seek out different foes. In this case, in particular, constructs, because our guy knows constructs are, you can usually find them in tomes and long lost dungeons. So I kind of dug that idea.
I mean, if you can literally pinpoint the direction of your constructs, that's gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna center in on how to get to those dungeons. Totally works, but we have to make that archetype choice. So where did we go?
We went with Hunter, and we actually went a little bit different than we normally do for Rangers. We didn't take Colossus Slayer, can you believe it? We took Giant Killer. And that is, if a large creature attacks you, whether they hit or miss, as a reaction, you can attack them back. Why was that important to you, Ted?
Well, I wanted this character to still be able to be combat effective. But we've already talked about, giving this character levels in Rogue. And this is not going to be your primary melee character in a typical adventuring party. If that's the case, you're going to be up in the thick of it with another adventurer, which means you've got an ally adjacent to the enemy. And Giant Slayer is going to give you the ability to attack, which means you're going to get extra sneak damage.
Yes, you're going to be able to sneak when it's not technically your turn, which is awesome. We also got another spell choice. In this case, we went with Goodberry, or maybe Good Granola, as the case may be.
This is going to allow you to get a little bit extra, healing in the party. Let's face it, you're not designed for that, but hey, if you've got the spell slots and you want to spread that out, it'll work.
Spread the granola, spread the love. So for our next level, we continue with Ranger one more time.
We wanted that other ASI.
Yes, but we're going to trade it for a feat this time, and we're going to take Dungeon Delver. This guy is an extreme adventurer. He's all about the dungeon. Dungeon Delver just fits.
Absolutely. You're going to be able to move at normal speed and not suffer, penalties to your, wisdom perception checks.
So now we are going to dip back into Monk for just one more level. I feel like this is the most bounciest character build we've done in a long time. But the reason why it was important to go back to Monk is we do want to get our extra attack. Why not? It's only one more attack, but we could use it. And also we're going to get Stunning Fist.
Stunning Fist, Stunning Strike, call it what you will. The ability to, give them the option, or, not option, but give them the ability to possibly lose their next turn. Totally works. But that extra attack is just going to give you that one more chance of doing some extra damage. Let's face it, your first attack isn't always going to be able to get that sneak off, so you want as many options as you can.
Now, our next 2 levels, we're going back to Rogue.
All right, and what are we looking for there?
So what we're looking to grab is we're going to get Uncanny Dodge, which is going to be another use of that reaction. So when we don't have a big guy smacking us in the face, we can use it to take less damage. And the other thing is we want more expertise.
Expertise, as I said, super helpful. What did we choose this time?
Perception and survival.
All right, so perception, totally makes sense. You want to be able to know your surroundings. Why did we choose survival?
Well, he just feels like this outdoorsy kind of person that's going to be hanging out in uncivilized lands all the time. I just felt like he'd be really good at surviving.
Totally makes sense for me.
So we're going to finish off this build. We're going to go the rest of the way. It's going to be Monk to the end.
Monk's going to give us evasion. It's going to give us another stat adjustment. We're going to get stillness of mind. What else are we getting?
We're going to get wholeness of body. We should probably talk about where we put that stat adjustment. Kind of important. I think we went back to Dex because this is a very, very Dex heavy build in my opinion.
Dex is like the super stat. It's going to give us armor class. We're focusing heavily on the Dex for damage, so therefore it's going to be the hit. And it's going to apply to a lot of our skills as well.
Yeah, we're going to get movement a couple more times, but most importantly, the last thing we're going to get from unarmored movement is the ability to run up walls and run across water. So like literally nothing is an obstacle for this guy.
So you can jump far, you can climb up walls, you can walk, run across water. Super helpful. All in the end, we're gonna have a movement of 60. That's before we cast our long strider. We can cover 180 feet around with that cunning action. Super awesome. Second story work means up the walls you go. No big deal. This is just a great mobile physical character.
All right, now let's talk about how can you use this in your game if you're the dungeon master.
All right, so this guy is totally crazy, with all the things that they're going to do. How do you see it being useful?
I see him as being like a foil that sets out to... It's not so much he's against the players, but they both have the same objective. And he may not have any malice or ill will towards them, but he wants to win, He's very competitive. He's got to get to the dungeon. He's got to get through to the other side first. He's got to get the MacGuffin. But the players need the MacGuffin too. So I feel like this is also like this running battle that could go on for a long time, not just in one adventure, but over the course of several adventures.
I totally see this as, you're right. I totally see this as, the kind of character that you're going to use where time crunch is going to be a major factor. The players, the characters are exploring a dungeon and, they come across traps that are already triggered or already disarmed. And, the players get to see this thing or this character up ahead of them. While, he might not be concerned with loot, as you brought up, he's concerned with getting that MacGuffin so that he gets the prestige of, being there first. He gets to solve the puzzle and, frustrate the players.
Yeah, and maybe he has a little fun with it too, right? Like, there's a flagstone and someone has clearly circled it in chalk and says, "Don't step here." Like he's marked the way, like marked out the safe way to go for people coming behind him. Maybe he's got a sense of humor, or maybe he's kind of ribbing them a little bit.
Well, you've got that low charisma, that 8. So he could really be doing jerky type stuff, and maybe every once in a while. He purposefully, circles the wrong one. So that they step and, oh no, I triggered the trap. And, he adds his own thing and a flag pops up that says, ha or something.
Oops, sorry, dude.
So you could have a lot of fun with it. And it's like, oh, a trap is triggered. But all it does is, drop confetti or, water on them. And, it's like, ha. You could have a lot of fun, with this kind of stuff.
Now, the other idea is this guy is like the evil Indiana Jones. And he doesn't want to preserve stuff. He wants to line his pockets, and he's amassing personal wealth and power, or does it for more malicious reasons. And in that case, he becomes someone that the players have to stop or defeat, or maybe they outsmart him in the sense that they let him do the thing and then they just lay in wait for him. If you have really clever players and they come up with something like that, I would definitely allow it, even if it wasn't what I initially intended.
This character is so physical and so extreme. You would kind of have to lay seed, make your own dungeon and be like the opposite, so that you lay the trap.
The players have to defend against him trying to get in.
Yeah, so the players would go in, they'd create their own dungeon, they'd create their own traps, and they would be the final boss. So this guy comes in expecting to find the MacGuffin, and it's the players laying the ambush. Like, I would totally have so much fun with that reverse adventure.
That's definitely a cool way to do it. Or if you wanted to do some kind of gauntlet thing in your game that the players had to run, or for whatever reason, or one of the players had to run, and this is the guy that they had to face while doing it, if it was kind of like a race.
Yeah, I mean, and it would be really, really hard to beat, this type of character. So the players would have to really strategize and come up with as many advantages as they could bring to the table, combine spell work and what have you, just to compete with, such a character.
Yeah. So with that, what do you folks think? Would you use this character? Would you play this character as a DM? Would you set him upon your players? We got a place where you can talk about that is in the comments below. We're at it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But hey, while you're on your way down there, I just want to take a moment to thank our patrons, because without them, we wouldn't be able to make all of this possible. Why are they patrons? They're patrons because they get to interact with us more. They get special rewards every month, and they get them for less. They get them first. Think about checking out our Patreon if you want more Nerdarchy in your life.
If you're looking for those traps either to use against this type of character or as this type of character, don't forget to check out that awesome Kickstarter by Nord down in the description below.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.